All right, thank you all for joining us tonight. For those of you who haven't been here before, what we do at Bulrush is we're trying to define Ozark food. What?
I'm like, just confused.
You should be. So your next.
Rob Connolly is the chef and owner at Bulrush, a restaurant trying to, as you heard, define Ozark cuisine. And yes, the confusion is a very normal, if not encouraged, part of the Bulrush dining experience.
When people come in, I know at the end of the night, it's going to be the best contemporary interpretation of historic Ozark cuisine that they've ever had, because it's the only one they've ever had.
When Rob made the decision to start his own restaurant, which officially opened in 2019, he started exploring the food from his childhood. With generations of family from St. Genevieve, he quickly realized there wasn't a whole lot of interesting food that originated from that area for modern diners.
The way it progressed, though, is I started looking at old church cookbooks, and the church cookbooks led me to family stories, oral tradition, and ultimately the archives that I found down in the Ozarks. And the idea that there aren't positive portrayals of the Ozarks in popular culture or mass media. In 3.5 years, I've not had one. Even people living in that area, the best they can do is family memories. And so I realized there's something bigger at stake here. So what is Ozark cuisine? Well, I mean, there's this one angle that I take in the food. Sometimes I take a letter, let's say, from 1820, from a settler who came to the area and was writing home to Mom back in Boston and said, "Mom, I made it." And I thought, well, that would be a lot of fun looking at how that first interaction happened between the indigenous people who were already there, the settlers who came into the area, and oftentimes the settlers would bring the enslaved. Those three cultures create the food that we eat now in this region. And so honoring those cultures and exploring those cultures, that's what became interesting.
So that's one way, but there's also a more direct way to research what Ozark natives ate through paleoethnobotany, which essentially studies how humans interact with plants.
I serve people things like lamb's quarter or purslane, and people say, well, that's the weed in my garden that I pull out. I say, yeah, it is, and it's nutritious, and it's everywhere, and in many cases, they're native to the area.
So far, a pretty straightforward yet unique way to share Ozark cuisine. But Rob doesn't stop there, because it's not just the actual foods he wants to cultivate, it's the processes and methods in which people native to the Ozarks used. For example, Rob explains gigging for suckers, which is night fishing with a spear instead of a hook and line, or recreating historic vessels used to preserve, ferment, or cook. Rob also forages year-round for ingredients like mushrooms, pawpaws, native plants, and his team even takes part in animal butchers.
One of the projects that's really exciting to us is what we call the 1841 Seed Project, an inventory from 1841 from a seed store here in town. Of the 95 seeds listed, 70 of them you could get today on Burpee or any Baker's Creek or any of the other seed catalogs. So the 25 were the ones that were of interest to us. So we were able to grow 23 of the 25. And all those seeds we know had been gone from this area for generations, some well over 100 years. Things like radish or watermelon, where I can give you 20 watermelons side by side so you can taste the difference of each of the watermelons and the history behind each of those and why they were important in this area back in the early 19th century.
Part of the Bulrush dining experience is for diners to learn about the history of the food being served, including those being grown in the 1841 Seed Project. And as you heard, it's easy for Rob to go into great detail about this process. And as we found out after meeting one of the farmers growing these rare seeds, he's not alone in his passion for culinary history. Tyreen Hero Lewis is one of the farmers working with Rob to grow mountain yellow watermelons. This is amongst the other dozen or so varieties that Tyreen is also growing, which he considers his specialty crop.
Man, watermelon's crazy. Like when you get into the watermelon, like it's all different varieties. different types. They all similar but different. You gotta really look close to them and see the difference of them.
Tyreen started growing his own food in buckets in his backyard because of the difficulty finding fresh produce in the city. It wasn't until after he started his own farming business that he realized it ran in the family.
You know, I'm a fifth-generational farmer too. I didn't know that until I started farming. Went to a family reunion. I found out my great-uncle in 1939 in Lamar County in Paris, Texas, he started an all-black co-op down there and they grew tomatoes. That's unheard of in that time in the South. So I guess it's just something I just was born to do. Yeah, so I like blessing everything and I pay homage to my ancestors. So in the hood, we got a thing where you pour out some liquor for your dead homies, right? So it's the same thing, same energy, just, same concept. So I pour libations. I say like amen, kind of, they're giving thanks. So I say my great-grandma, I say. So just bring the energy in, to help me out. And really, it's really them growing this for real in my hands. Like, I got blessed hands. I really believe that.
But having blessed hands doesn't prevent interventions from Mother Nature.
Yep, this is Mountain Yellow right here. Yep.
Those are the ones that you're growing for Rob?
Yep, this one. He got it and got me. You smell it good too, man. Oh man, they got into one of my big ones. So it started off promising. First harvest was pretty cool, but we had a flood here in St. Louis. It affected my watermelon in a strange way. So we got a lot of skunks out here, which I know that, but they never mess with anything ever of mine. So I guess the rain kind of like made the skunks come up from out the creek, I think. So I think the water put the smell out, right? And then once they smelt it, they came and ate it. And then, once you get one to get a taste of it, just like humans, you get it, it's good, you're gonna tell everybody. So I believe the skunks told their friends and their family members, and now they having a good time on it.
The skunks destroyed upwards of $2,000 worth of watermelon, something Tyreen takes as a learning opportunity, which he tells me about oversharing a slice of watermelon that he was able to salvage. And for all the hype and anticipation, I have to be honest.
I mean, it tastes like watermelon.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you're going to do different next year?
Man, I've been thinking about a lot of stuff. I always think in life, the universe always sends you messages, even if it's good or bad, right? So you just got to take a message out of everything. So I'm thinking to myself, what did I do? I'm like, man, life is like farming, man. Everything is connected, all right? You plant seeds, something grow, right? I don't even eat food for somebody that's cooking and in a bad mood, because your energy is going to your food, right? They say soul food, soul cooking. I think soul farming. Watermelon talk.
Seeds of life, watermelon.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's those too, seeds of life. There you go, okay.
All right, guys, your next course is a library of watermelons.
Finding community partners like Tyreen who share the enthusiastic philosophies of food like Rob does show us how Bulrush has been successful. It's not your average pizza place that spends years researching their ingredients. But if nothing else, Rob wants diners to have a good meal, because sometimes the methods of how they assemble courses doesn't always go according to plan.
One of our farmers in that seed project is growing a potato that's extremely, extremely rare in the United States. It's called rowan potato. We thought it was extinct, and we've now grown this twice, but this is as big as they're getting.
But it's not necessarily about the end result. Part of the Bulrush philosophy is giving credit where credit is long overdue.
I work really hard to bring people in who can tell their own story, whether it's an African-American farmer or an indigenous chef. I think that is a more powerful and lasting message to be shared. That's a lot of haughty, philosophic stuff to be bringing into a restaurant when, quite frankly, we scramble every day just to get food done and out. The second it feels like we're a museum or we're a novelty, it's not interesting to me anymore, because at that point, why am I doing it? I'm not doing this to be a circus sideshow. I'm doing this because no one has done this work before, and it's really exciting to dig into this information and food is a safe way to get history into people's heads. If I said, come to a lecture, I'll get 20 people. If I say, come to a meal, I'll get thousands. Yeah, thank you all for joining us tonight.
For Living St. Louis, I'm Brooke Butler.